the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Saturday, August 8th. Today we will continue to have winds across the northern areas of the Great Basin over parts of Idaho, so any large fires in those areas certainly will see some impacts from wind gusts between about 25 and 30 miles per hour and relative humidity in the lower to mid-teens. We will see these winds continue tomorrow as well. We could have a few isolated thunderstorms develop over northeast Nevada into far northwest Utah today, as there is some lingering moisture and instability in those areas, but right now thunderstorms should be fairly isolated. Same with the higher Sierra. We are expecting possibly just a few thunderstorms, but for the most part we will see very little lightning activity across the Great Basin the next 2 days. We will be looking towards Monday and Tuesday, as thunderstorms should start to increase over parts of the northern half of Nevada into northern Utah. Right now, thunderstorms on Monday look fairly isolated, but they would be either on the drier side or a mix of wet and dry. Looking at the last 24 hours, we only had a few thunderstorms over northeast Nevada and far northwest Utah, and then along the Sierra, and these thunderstorms generally produced only light amounts of precipitation. Great Basin fire activity yesterday was light, with 15 fires reported for just over 100 acres, and there was new growth on our existing fires of over 2,000 acres. Over the last 7 days, we've seen very dry conditions across the Great Basin, with only a few spotty areas of precipitation in the north associated with some thunderstorm activity. Current ERCs across the Great Basin are most critical over the southern half of the area and are between the 90th and 97th percentile or higher, especially across Utah, southern and eastern Nevada. Further north, we are seeing ERCs still above the 80th percentile in many spots of Idaho and into northwest Nevada. The satellite image from this morning shows a trough of low pressure over the western areas of the Great Basin, and this will continue moving eastward across the northern Rockies. And again, this is what will be attributed to the gusty winds across Idaho today, and you can still see that lingering moisture up across northeast Nevada and northwest Utah. So again, couldn't rule out a few isolated thunderstorms, but again, very isolated as far as coverage. Looking at the weather pattern for later today, you can see the very dry conditions over the southern areas of the Great Basin, and this is where our single-digit relative humidity will remain. Further north, we will see relative humidity up into the teens across Idaho, which is where those gusty winds will also occur, so we do have a couple of high-risk boxes for those conditions today. Looking at the relative humidity picture, you can see those teens across the northern areas and single digits over southern areas of the Great Basin. And again, the only windy spots again will be across Idaho. Further south, we will see generally light to moderate winds. As we move into Sunday, very similar conditions. This trough moves a little bit further east across the northern Rockies into the northern plains, still leaving some breezy winds in small areas of southern Idaho. So we do still have some high risk, as wind gusts again will remain generally in the 20s or up around 30 miles per hour, with relative humidity in the teens. Again, further south, still dry air in place over far southern areas. No other high risk for Sunday. Relative humidity about the same on Sunday as it will be today, with single-digit humidity across much of Nevada, Utah, and the Arizona Strip, and relative humidity up into the teens across Idaho. We actually might see the relative humidity increase a little bit across parts of Idaho as that cold front moves more to the east, however still remaining in the teens. And again, you can see those breezy winds over southern Idaho into Wyoming tomorrow. As we move into Monday, this is where things get a little bit more interesting. We will see some moisture get pushed up into the northern half of Nevada and Utah and northern California. So we are expecting some isolated thunderstorms to develop, and we do have some high risk for northeast and central Nevada and also along parts of the Sierra Front, which also links up with northeast California. So again, right now it's looking like Monday might see more isolated thunderstorm activity, but certainly with how dry conditions are, and these thunderstorms are expected to be on the drier side, we will see gusty outflow winds, which could increase fire potential. So looking at the relative humidity, you can see generally single digits are now pushed further south as some of that moisture moves north into northern Nevada, pushing relative humidity above 10%, but still critically dry, obviously, and we are expecting a limited moisture with these thunderstorms. You can see the picture on the right is possibly where we're expecting some of these thunderstorms to occur, generally along the Sierra into northeast California and along parts of the Sierra Front, and then also some isolated thunderstorms over central and northeast Nevada, possibly over the Uinta Mountains and into parts of northern Utah. Right now it's looking like Tuesday will be the more active day. Forecast amounts of precipitation are light, only very spotty with the thunderstorms, and most of this precipitation in the Sierra will be occurring on Monday with that increased lightning. Again, as we move into Tuesday, we will see the moisture a little bit more impressive over the northern half of Nevada into northern Utah, and also a trough of low pressure dropping into Idaho, which will increase instability across that area. So we are expecting more widespread lightning activity on Tuesday, and we do have plenty of high risk to account for that, as these thunderstorms will be a mix of wet and dry, but also be producing some pretty gusty outflow winds. As we move into Wednesday, the moisture moves further east. We do not have any high risk yet for any parts of Idaho or northern Utah, but we certainly could see some thunderstorm activity continue in those areas, and we will monitor that. We also might see winds start to increase a little bit over western or southern areas of the Great Basin, and we will monitor that as well, as we will continue to see this dry air move in. Thursday, the dry air moves further into the basin, and we will be watching this area of moisture coming up from the south. There was a tropical disturbance off the Mexican coast, and some of that mid-level moisture is now moving north, and by Friday potentially moves into southern areas of the Great Basin. So we will be watching those areas right now for any thunderstorm activity. Right now that moisture appears to be limited, so it could be more high base, drier type lightning, and that could be a big concern for southern areas. Again, right now, pretty low confidence in that later in the week scenario, so we will be keeping an eye on that. Forecast amounts of precipitation just generally light for the next 7 days. Again, thunderstorm activity still remaining on the drier side. And the 8 to 14 day outlook, taking us from August 15th through the 21st, shows cold fronts moving across the north with possibly some cooler weather, but still warm and dry conditions across the Great Basin. We may start to see some thunderstorm activity push moisture up into southern areas of the Great Basin as we get later in August. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back tomorrow for the latest updates.